In the remote mountains of Norway, investigators discovered a woman's burned remains under circumstances so bizarre that 5 decades later, the case continues to baffle authorities worldwide. What they found alongside her body would challenge everything they thought they knew about identity, espionage, and the dark secrets people carry to their graves. Before we dive deeper, subscribe to follow our quest for answers. It was November 29, 1970, in the early afternoon when a father and his young daughter were hiking through the Isdal Valley, roughly 6 miles east of Bergen, Norway. The valley, known locally as Ice Valley, stretched between steep mountain ridges covered in dense pine forest. Winter mist clung to the rocky slopes and the temperature hovered just above freezing. The hikers had chosen a seldom-used trail that wound through a particularly desolate section of the valley. As they climbed higher, the father noticed an unusual smell drifting through the cold air. It was acrid, chemical, unlike anything that belonged in the natural landscape. Following the scent, they discovered a sight that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. In a small clearing surrounded by large boulders, the charred remains of a woman lay positioned against a rock formation. The body had been burned so severely that identification seemed impossible. But this was merely the beginning of what would become Norway's most perplexing, unsolved case. Police arrived within hours, led by Detective Inspector Asbjørn Bryn. The crime scene presented immediate contradictions that defied logical explanation. The woman's body was found in a remote location that required considerable local knowledge to reach. Yet she appeared to be a foreigner based on dental work that didn't match Norwegian standards. More disturbing were the personal effects scattered around the scene. Investigators found the remains of several suitcases completely destroyed by fire. Scattered among the ashes were melted jewelry, coins from various European countries, and most puzzling of all, the remnants of what appeared to be multiple passports. The woman herself had been approximately 25 to 40 years old, with dark hair and a slender build. She stood roughly 5 feet 6 inches tall. Her hands showed no signs of manual labor, suggesting an educated or professional background. But every identifying feature that might have revealed her identity had been systematically destroyed. The autopsy revealed details that transformed the case from a potential suicide into something far more sinister. The woman had consumed a significant amount of phenobarbital before her death, enough to cause unconsciousness, but not necessarily death. More troubling, the fire had been set while she was still alive, though likely unconscious from the drug. Carbon monoxide levels in her blood confirmed she had inhaled smoke, meaning she had been breathing when the flames began. The positioning of her body suggested she had been arranged deliberately against the rocks, her arms positioned in an unnatural manner that would have been impossible if she had fallen naturally. Detective Bryn's investigation took an unexpected turn when local hotel registries were examined. The woman had been staying at the Hotel Hordeheimen in Bergen under the name Fenella Lorch. But hotel staff remembered her as nervous, constantly checking the lobby and corridors as if watching for someone. The hotel room yielded a treasure trove of mysterious evidence. Hidden beneath the mattress, investigators found a collection of wigs in different colors and styles. The woman had apparently been altering her appearance regularly. More disturbing was the discovery of coded notes written in what appeared to be a personal cipher. The handwriting analysis revealed that the woman had been practicing different signatures, as if preparing multiple identities. Among her belongings were train tickets to various European cities, all purchased under different names. The pattern suggested someone living a carefully constructed double life. But the most chilling discovery came from the hotel's guest registry. The woman had checked in using an address that didn't exist. When investigators traced the fake address, they found it led to a building that had been demolished 3 years earlier. Someone had done extensive research to create this false identity. Local witnesses began coming forward with disturbing accounts. A shopkeeper remembered selling the woman a distinctive coat just days before her death. But the coat found at the scene was completely different, suggesting she had been meeting with someone who might have switched her clothing. More puzzling were reports from other hotels in Bergen. The woman had apparently been staying at multiple locations simultaneously, using different names and appearances. Hotel staff at the Hotel Neptune remembered her as blonde, while others recalled her as brunette. The systematic nature of these deceptions suggested professional training. The investigation expanded when similar coded notes were found at 2 other hotels. The cipher remained unbreakable, but the pattern of letters suggested Germanic or possibly Eastern European origins. Linguistic experts noted that the woman's handwriting showed characteristics of someone educated in multiple languages. Detective Bryn discovered that the woman had been making regular trips to a remote cabin in the mountains surrounding Bergen. Local hunters reported seeing her there with an unidentified man, described as tall and wearing expensive clothing. But when investigators reached the cabin, they found it had been thoroughly cleaned, with no trace of recent occupation. The breakthrough came when investigators examined the woman's remaining jewelry more carefully. Hidden inside a locket was a microscopic photograph of a man in military uniform. The image was so small it required magnification to see clearly, but facial recognition experts noted features consistent with Eastern European ancestry. This discovery led to contact with international intelligence agencies. The woman's methods of identity concealment, her travel patterns, and the professional nature of her deceptions suggested connections to espionage networks active during the Cold War period. But the case took another inexplicable turn when the woman's fingerprints were processed. Despite extensive searching through international databases, no matches were found. It was as if she had never existed in any official capacity anywhere in the world. The final piece of evidence emerged from chemical analysis of the fire scene. The accelerant used to burn the woman's body was a specialized compound not available to ordinary civilians. The specific chemical signature matched materials used by intelligence services for destroying sensitive documents. More disturbing was the discovery that the woman's dental work, while foreign, showed signs of deliberate alteration. Someone had systematically modified her teeth to prevent identification through dental records. The level of planning suggested this was not a spontaneous act, but part of a carefully orchestrated operation. The investigation reached a dead end when several key witnesses suddenly became unavailable. The hotel staff, who had provided detailed descriptions of the woman, either left the country or refused to speak with investigators. The hunter who had seen her with the unidentified man was found dead in an apparent hunting accident weeks later. Police files indicate that pressure from higher authorities led to the case being quietly shelved. Detective Bryn's notes, discovered years later, suggest he believed the woman was connected to intelligence operations that certain government officials preferred to keep buried. The woman's body was eventually buried in a Bergen cemetery under the name Isdal woman. But even this final act raised new questions. Someone had been leaving flowers at her grave regularly for decades, always the same type of exotic orchids that don't grow naturally in Norway. Recent DNA analysis has provided new leads, but these have only deepened the mystery. The woman's genetic profile suggests mixed European ancestry, but with markers that don't match any known population databases. It's as if she came from a genetic lineage that has been deliberately obscured. The coded messages found in her possession were finally deciphered in 2016. They contained coordinates to locations across Europe, dates that corresponded to significant political events, and references to operations that remain classified by multiple governments. What do you think really happened to the woman whose identity was so thoroughly erased that even death couldn't reveal her secrets? Share your theories in the comments below and subscribe to explore more cases where the official explanation leaves more questions than answers.